The Great Depression began in October 1929 when the stock market got crashed and the value of stocks plummeted. It was several economic downturn of low business in the USA that lasted from 1929 to late 1930s. In October 1929, it quickly spread throughout the economic.
This led to a widespread of unemployment, poverty, and hardships. The Great Depression was characterized by bank failures, business closures, and a sharp decline in consumer spendings.
Causes of the Great Depression: factories and farms produce more goods than people can buy. Banks make loans that borrower cannot pay back. After the stock market crash, many businesses cannot find people who invest in their growth.
Effects of the Great Depression. This meant many businesses, banks, and factories to fail, affecting millions of Americans to be out of work, homeless, or hungry. This led to families being broken apart and people suffering.
So stock markets as an exchange where security trading is conducted by professional stockbrokers and where company stocks are bought and sold. Parte 2. So stock market crash in October 1929. The start of the Great Depression, Black Tuesday, another name for the stock market crash in October 1929. Cause of the Great Depression, banks made careless loans. People borrow money to invest in the stock market over the investment of the stock market and over production of goods. This event, known as Black Tuesday, the sign and start of a long economy downturn and affect millions of people in the U.S. around the world. The start of October 29, 1929, this day when prices in the stock market took a step dive plunging over $10 million.
Herbert Hoover. During this period of time, Herbert was the President of the United States. From 1923 to 1933, leader of the Great Depression. He was a Republican candidate who assumed the presidency in March 1923, promising the American people prosperity and attempted to first deal with the Depression by trying to restore public faith in the community.
What did he want? He did not want the government involved in the people's lives and thought that people should express their own individual rights.
What did he want? His administration implemented stronger protections for labor and substantially increased federal subsidies for agriculture. Hoover also played a key role in passing the Glass-Steagall Act of 1932. Buying on the margin is the purchasing of an asset by paying the margin and borrowing the balance from a bank or from a broker. Buying on the margin refers to the initial or down payment made to the broker for the asset being purchased. The collateral for the funds being in the marginable security as an investor's account. Before buying on margin, an investor needs to open a marginable account with a broker in the United States. The amount of margin that must be paid for in the security is regulated by the Federal Reserve Board.
Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act. A tax on imported goods. The Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act on June 1930 raised U.S. tariffs to historically high levels.
Soul food reveals. Shanty towns that the unemployed built in the cities during the early years of the Great Depression. The name given shows that people blame Hoover directly for the Depression. Dust Bowl, a geographic area including the Texas Panhandle and was the hardest hit by the drought during the 1930s, where the soil was so dry it blew away in great clouds of dust. What was the cause? Overproduction or overfarming. The lack of rain, machines made it faster in drought and wind. Due to this event, many people moved to California.
What states were in the Dust Bowl? The states that were in the Dust Bowl were Colorado, Kansas, Texas, Oklahoma, and New Mexico, which lasted to about 10 years. Many of the residents from the plains, especially from Oklahoma and Kansas, fell ill and died from the Dust Bowl. This was caused by the dust pneumonia. During the Dust Bowl, the government encouraged farmers to terrace, which created ditches that go with the contour and helps land reduce unnecessary water runoffs. And used contour farming techniques, which meant plowing and planting crops around hills to hold moisture in the soil.
Use irrigation, which are man-made methods to bring water to the crops. Use stubble mulching, which is the practice of leaving some straw of stalks in the surface after the field is slightly tilted and reduces water runoff. Lastly, using crop rotation, which are hill and plant shelter belts.
Roosevelt was a Democrat who became United States President in 1933. His program to alleviate the problems of Great Depression became known as the New Deal, and he remained president through World War II.
The New Deal was a series of new lands and programs introduced by President Roosevelt during the Great Depression to create jobs and to improve the economy. Things like PWA, Public Works Administrations, and WPA, Works Progress Administration. What was the PWA and WPA, and what exactly did it do?
Works Programs Administration was the largest and most ambitious American New Deal agency, employing millions of unemployed people, mostly unskilled men, to carry out public works projects and including the construction of public buildings and roads.
PWA, Public Works Administration, was established by 100 Days Congress built by large scales of public works like bridges, hospitals, and schools to provide employment. This increased the purchasing power to revive the economy.
Fireside chat, the informal radio conversation Roosevelt had with the people to keep the spirit up. It was a means of communicating with the people on how he would take on the Depression. The Civilian Conversation Corps was a New Deal program created by the Employee Relief Act. It provided employments in government campus for 3 million men. The work they were involved in included reforestation, firefighting, flood control, and swamp drainage.
The Depression was the largest and deepest downturn in the history of the United States and the modern industrial economy. The Great Depression began in August 1929 when the economic expansion of the Roaring Twenties came to an end. A series of financial crises punctuated and the contraction.